Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another edition of Walking with J.Beau, an almost daily walking vlog. I hope that you are enjoying your holiday week this week, as we see Old Glory up there. So, well, the first thing I'm going to talk about is weather. If you recall, on my walks, I have mentioned to you that we usually get our first snow on or about Thanksgiving. It is chilly today. Thankfully, we have some sunshine. It's a little breezy. I can see my breath today. And later tonight, we're supposed to have snow. And some parts of Maine, it's going to be pretty significant. In the mountains and the foothills in Maine, they could see about 10 inches of snow. I am in the 1 to 3 inches to the 3 to 6 inch range. It's going to be wet, heavy snow, which is the worst, because those are the ones when it gets windy that the power goes out. And we had that happen twice last year. Didn't enjoy it. And all it takes is all that wet, heavy snow stuck on trees with some wind, and the trees pull up and fall over. But last year was kind of interesting difference, because basically what happened last year, we wait for this vehicle to go by. What happened last year was we had record rainfall all year. So the ground was ultra saturated, and the trees uprooted very easily, especially the pines. So many dozens of trees fell last year on one of our storms. Then we had another one about a month later. Each time, one time I lost power for 2 days. The first time it was about 5 days. And it was not an enjoyable experience. I can clearly see why electricity was invented. So anyway, hopefully it won't be too bad. The kind of snow I like is when the high temperature is 15 to 20 degrees, the ground is frozen solid, and the snow that falls is like light fluffy feathers, like powder. That doesn't stick on anything, and whatever does accumulate with snow comes off quickly, melts faster in the day when the sun hits it. It's not a big deal. The wet stuff, though, is the worst. So we have had a lot of rain this week. And we're going to get some more rain. That's the thing with the snow tonight. We're not far from the ocean, about 20 miles, 25 miles. So it's like It's one of those things where it's a little different near the coast. It always tends to be a little more soupy, a little warmer. Then you go inland and, you know, something that you would get rain and freezing rain on the coast turns into snow inland. And the further up north you go, the more snow usually, because of the mountainous regions. So anyway, we're gonna have, definitely gonna have some snow tonight. Now we're slated to get 1 to 3 inches. And you also have to keep in mind that the TV networks really try to go out of their way to hype things up to get people to watch. So I'm sure there's some of that involved. But this is a significant development for this time of year. And we have the potential to get 6 inches of snow, which won't stay on the ground long, because the ground doesn't have a permafrost yet. It's not frozen, which is going to make for really terrible driving, which most people in New England are used to. You see people down south get an inch of snow and the whole world stops and they don't know what to do about it. But up here, I do a lot of things, like I drive a Mustang, rear-wheel drive. I will actually take the traction control off. And like when you're going in a turn, you start to lose control of your vehicle. Just let your car go, you know? Steer away from it and control your car by feathering your gas pedal. If you put the brakes on, you're doomed. And sometimes that seems counterintuitive. You're starting to skid, you want to put your brakes on. Well, in winter weather, that's not the best thing to do. You got to kind of like let your car do what it's going to do and then counteract it ever so slightly, because you don't want to oversteer or understeer. You want to try to find an even keel. And it does take years of driving in it to know, you know. I remember one winter in particular, we had 6 inches of unannounced snow. I call it unannounced snow. What that is basically is people probably in New York are more used to like lake effect snow. It's just snow that comes up because of the conditions. Well, we were supposed to have flurries. It wasn't lake effect snow, but I'm just saying for an example, can't really forecast it. So what happened is it was supposed to be just a dusting of flurries, you know, just because the air's dry, a little bit of moisture in the air, and the moisture turns to snow. And so it starts snowing, then it's snowing, and snowing, and snowing, and snowing. And nobody that works for the city is out cleaning the streets because they didn't expect that. So you had 6 inches of snow in the roads and they weren't being plowed. Needless to say, there are a lot of people that were stuck on the side of the road. Stuck, they couldn't go anywhere. And I noticed almost all of them were driving little 4-cylinder front-wheel drive cars that don't weigh much. And they were inexperienced drivers. I'm driving a rear-wheel drive Mustang. All right, rear-wheel drive in snowy weather is a lot more skill involved. It's more difficult because your car is being pushed rather than being pulled by front wheels. And I use just regular all-season radials, nothing special. But these cars were stuck on the side of the road, and I wasn't. And in fact, one hill I went up sideways, just throttling the hell out of it, counter steering, because that's what you got to do. You can't go like, oh, it's snowing, I got to be careful and baby it. No, you got to gun it. Just like those Finnish car racers do in winter weather. It's kind of like that. So when you get used to driving on that and you've had some practice, it's not too bad, really. So most seasoned drivers and older people understand it. Hope that explains something. So I would take the traction control off. And the other thing you can do is, most people that have an automatic transmission, you will notice that when you put it in drive, there's two other drive settings that nobody ever uses. A lot of people don't even know what they do. It changes how your transmission is geared. So, you know, I guarantee you that if you're having a hard time and you're spinning your tires, just put it in first or second. It's safe to do for your car. Now, don't do that driving over 30, 35 miles an hour. I'm talking about if you're trying to get somewhere in your town, everything's bogged down. If you do that, you will get extra traction. Guaranteed. You'll be really surprised. A lot of people don't even think of using that. Really don't know why. Hi everybody, it's J.Beau. Hi, it's me. So anyway, I'll flip the camera around. So a lot of people don't even think of doing that. You know, which is fine. You know, maybe you live down south, it only snows once a year if you're lucky. And it don't really matter to you because you just stay inside till it melts. I know somebody online in Arkansas, that's what he said he does. So most of those towns down south don't have any infrastructure to clean the roads, so because they're not needed, really. And anyway, so you just kind of like just power through things in deep snow with the vehicle. Now the snow does get to a certain height where you are going to get stuck, especially if you have to stop at a red light. That's why when you come to a red light after you've been driving, put it in first or second, and you'll feel that extra torque or grip. It just changes the gear settings in the transmission. Have a little bit more power and grab. Instead of spinning your tires, it's slower and allows you to get better traction. That should work for you. And like I said though, you don't want to go highway speeds with that. That's not good. That can actually do some damage. It's made basically, you know, like in a pickup truck or some kind of truck. Let's say you don't have four-wheel drive and you got rear-wheel drive in a pickup truck. If you put it in first or second, it's easier to pull something like a stump, a small stump, than it would be if you didn't do that. So anyway, hope that helps somebody. I've only gotten stuck in my Mustang once, and that was because I turned onto a side road and it had not been plowed all the way down to the pavement, and precipitation from earlier had frozen on the pavement. So there was frozen precipitation and then there was new snow on top. But I carry stuff for traction in my trunk. You put those underneath the wheels, and it's got little spikes on them, so you put the spikes against the ground. It's got these little slats of steel that you wedge it under your tire and then you back out. So those work really well. I also keep a shovel in the trunk, a good one, kind of like the military style. It's not really a spade, but it's a small shovel. You can chop ice with it, you can do all kinds of stuff with it. So I highly recommend getting one of those. Can also keep a small bucket of sand in the back in your trunk. Some people in pickup trucks like to carry a couple of buckets of sand in the back because it weights the back of their truck down and get better traction. Affects your gas mileage a little bit. But anyway, most of you guys down south have those summer tires, made for rain. As soon as the weather gets cold, not any good. Well, I'm dressed plenty warm today. Wearing 4 layers of clothing. 2 of them are kind of thick. I'm getting warm right now. Like I've said on my walks, it's always, the goal is to get some kind of sweat going, which is what I got going right now. So anyway, we did have some black ice this morning, which you can see on this driveway. Somebody threw some salt pellets. And this one here too. Actually looks like salt pellets on the side of the road. So they obviously went by dropping salt pellets. You can see a strip right here. Those little crystals. So the city was out salting black ice this morning. It was foggy last night, but it was also 28 degrees. So all of that fog, I'm assuming, was freezing on the ground. You could also see the white treads. So the other thing I want to talk about, I think is important, because it is remember I had said nobody sore loses like the left, right? Well, it seems somebody, don't know who yet, targeted several Trump appointees. Several of them. The first one was Elise Stefanik, and they were targeted with swatting. Some people got bomb threats, and some people were actually swatted. Now, being swatted means, if you're not familiar with the term, I'm assuming you are, most people are, but there might be a couple that don't know what that is, you know, the SWAT team. SWAT. They're used for kind of like more of a military response from civilian police. A lot of them do have military training. But being swatted is somebody calls the police or 911 and they says this person at this address has a gun, or they're threatening to kill people, or there is a shooting in progress. Something like that. So the police show up, obviously, guns drawn, and they take their job seriously. And the people that do the swatting probably are secretly hoping that the person who knows they're innocent starts making a scene, and then the police shoot them dead. So obviously, the Trump campaign is being targeted that way. And President Trump issued a statement today condemning it, of course. The FBI is going to investigate it, but they have investigated the other ones, and I've yet to see any arrests. The FBI said it was foreign actors last time. People calling in from overseas somewhere, which, you know damn well they know who. Oops, sorry about that. My zipper on my gloves was undone. So, you know, they know who. They have the technology. If they end up arresting somebody, that would be awesome. So we're going to get the walk in today. Should be nice, I hope. We're going on the more scenic rural route in the neighborhood. The other cool thing that happened is I picked up a copy of the new Time magazine. Yes, Time magazine, the biased piece of crap rag, but they came out with a really nice President-elect Trump issue. Beautiful picture of Trump on the cover. The entire issue is dedicated to President Trump, his career, what he's had to go through, good and bad. And they actually did a good job with it. So if you're on the fence about it, the newest current Time magazine is worth getting as a keepsake. Really didn't see anybody online showing the contents inside with photographs. Unfortunately, because if people saw that, everybody would want one. It's really good. So it has photographs of Trump during his first presidency, before his presidency, his career with beauty pageants, The Apprentice. It covers his kids, and it covers the first presidency. It covers his election loss. And then now it covers his new election win, which is touted to be the best political comeback anybody has ever seen. I don't think most people would doubt that. So I highly recommend picking that up. Thankfully, it has a short J6 section. It has a few photographs. I haven't read the rhetoric in it. But I'm assuming it's probably similar to what we've heard already. False claims about the election, blah, blah, blah. But regardless, the way the media covered this is also pertinent and a moment in time, right? So, you know, we'll look back at it and 10, 20 years from now, flip through this and oh yeah, I remember that BS the media did. So, anyway, hope you're enjoying the victory. Trump has his cabinet together. It just needs to be confirmed with the Senate. I think virtually all of them will be. A lot of people seem to be talking about Tulsi Gabbard. She'll get approved. So, the other thing is some people talking about RFK. If RFK is not approved, it's going to be because of his stances on some things that are going to clash with many Democrat senators and probably some Republican ones too, who believe the BS. So we'll see what happens. So anyway, good Thanksgiving coming. Something up there squawking at me. So we got Turkey Day tomorrow. Which should be nice. Hopefully you have a beautiful Thanksgiving. I mean that sincerely. And, special times we're in right now, really. I'm watching the left implode right now. Not quite sure what to make of it. I almost don't believe it, but that's what's happening. We have the media in disarray. They're not quite sure what to do because they're in a tough spot. They have to cater to the people who were watching them, which weren't very many, or they'll lose them. So they're either going to have to slowly transition from their extreme bias to being somewhere moderate sounding, whether they are or not. And I don't know if they're going to be able to do that. So, tough telling, not knowing, but CNN has been having these people on. I saw one guy on today that was kind of cracking me up. Like I said, I check out CNN, MSNBC for about 15 to 20 minutes each, just to see what the day's narrative is going to be. And they had this guy on there talking about the Democrats are actually believing the poll they saw that said Kamala Harris is the best leader the Democrats have, according to people that have been polled. I think it's a ridiculous poll, done too soon after the election, where people feel bad that they lost and they're going to support the person they voted for, even though they know that person's not a good candidate. And I don't think that poll is accurate. Because in this poll, Kamala Harris was 41% approval from voters. Gavin Newsom was second with 8%. So Gavin Newsom, who was a terrible candidate also, got 8%. Then you had Pritzker, Whitmer, and it's like, come on, folks. None of these people are good candidates. The Democrats, basically, they're going to have to change their policy, change their tone, and the first thing they're going to have to do is they're going to have to eat crow and admit that the policies that they pushed and supported were wrong. We thought we were doing a good thing, but it's apparent that people don't like it. And we can find compromise and common sense, which is going to be what the Democratic Party is going to need. Common sense. They're freaking out and they're trying to figure out how Trump reached all these people and got several Democrats to vote for Trump. And he did it with common sense. People know that when the school is keeping the fact that your child is transitioning from the parent, and then when the parent argues it, the parent ends up in court and they have their children taken away for child abuse. People inherently know that is wrong. The best parent for the kid is the parent. And you know, this isn't refusing cancer surgery for your kid, which there's even some argument about that as whether or not somebody has the right to do that. But they're treating it like something like that because of the propaganda. Academia has been indoctrinated in this cult. So has the medical industry, because they're profiting off it. And so it's an endless cycle, and the Democrats are losing. Now here's the good news: the Democrats aren't going to be able to fix it. They have too many people that were indoctrinated in colleges over the last 20 years to be raised as neo-Marxist socialists, and they want this, but they're the minority. Even a lot of young people are not on board with that because it's just not common sense. Just to give up like some kind of example, let's say the Democrats wanted everybody in the country to have a puppy. Everybody gets a puppy. Taxpayer funded. Well, 360 million people in the country, 360 million puppies. You got to buy the puppy. Somebody is going to make a contract with the government. They're going to overprice the puppies. And, you know, it's going to come out to probably $3,000 for a puppy. Medical care, licensing. You got to register it with your town. And if you come out like a Republican would, say, come on, man, use common sense. What are you guys doing? This is stupid. Well, this certain leftist faction comes out and, well, you hate puppies. You guys are animal haters. Look at this Kirsty Nome. She shot her dog. And they start bringing out all this propaganda, and they fight to give a puppy to everybody. That's kind of what they're doing with everything. Now, corporations are realizing that that is a loser, and Walmart just announced this week that after the holidays and then the new year next year, they're dropping their DEI policies. It's not working. It's not popular. So I saw a couple of prominent Democrats online. One of them actually was crying. He was physically crying because DEI is failing. And of course it was some white guy. And it's the black people and the Hispanic people, the Asian people, Native American, Puerto Rican, whatever, Latino, Hispanic, this, that, and the other thing, who don't want it. They're the ones that don't want it. It's the white elitist liberal that wants it, so they can feel great. They don't care how it affects the community. They don't care how it affects jobs. They don't care about any of that. Now, these corporations who donate to Democrats probably were getting nice tax breaks because of it, but they're losing so much money and they're ruining their name doing it. And it's not because the country is racist. And again, the Democrats are trying to say that, you know, the Hispanics have abandoned their culture to support white supremacists. I mean, these people are out of touch. They're just gone, okay? And, well, they lost, and they're going to keep losing if they don't fix it. They have to own their crap. They have to come out as a Democratic Party, and they can't even just say, well, we've lost touch with the working class. This is a lot deeper than that. They lost on woke policies, the working class, and they also lost on just individual freedoms and rights for parents. You know, they're taking kids away from parents. Tell me that doesn't, you know, that's why a lot of the LGBT community have been cutting ties with the left, and they voted for Trump. That's because they have kids. They worry about their damn kids in school too. You know, they're being preyed upon. So, you know, the Democrats are going to have to drop that. AOC did drop her pronouns from her profile, the same pronouns she said that you'd have to walk over her dead body for her to remove them. Well, there you have it. Democrats need to return to common sense. They need to listen to people when they say, I am afraid they're going to take my kid from me if I say anything. And then have a solution. A solution that isn't, you're a transphobe. The Democrats have raised an entire generation and a half of people that were indoctrinated and told they are victims. People owe them an apology. And if they don't, they're racist. So the Democrats are not going to be able to deprogram these people. They're just not, okay? It's not going to happen. Any more than you and I can be deprogrammed that we shouldn't say the Pledge of Allegiance in school. We all believe we should. That's how we were raised. So they're not going to be able to fix it with these people. So the media made it worse because the over-the-top lying, because they were so desperate to get Trump, because they knew Trump was leading. They knew he was leading. So they went far and beyond where they should have with their rhetoric, and they sounded foolish, and they lost the public. As well they should. Now, if they had just reported honest news, Democrats might have won. They might have actually won if the Democrats had changed their policies, you know, 2-3 years ago after Biden was in office. If they hadn't gone woke. You know, Biden turned out to be the most divisive, far-left extremist president we've ever had, and he lied to get elected by saying he would be a moderate. He would be a candidate of common sense and end the chaos. And he ended up creating more chaos. And it wasn't even him. It was his wife Jill, who was a far-left lunatic. And Biden was just a puppet. Literally, he was a puppet. The only thing missing is a hand and a hole in his back, working his lips. Pretty sad, really. But it looks like we survived. If we can get through to January without nuclear Armageddon, that is. It really makes me angry that Biden authorized these ATACMS missiles being shot at Russia Not because I don't think Russia deserves it. And that's really the whole thing with me, is a lot of this making Putin the boogeyman is false. But at the same time, Putin's not a saint. He didn't have to invade Ukraine. He really didn't. He could have tried other measures and things like that. But you did have the far West kicking him out of NATO, not inviting him to summits. So this has been boiling for a while. And I think all sides involved have been really terrible. The United States has probably been the worst, and the UK, Britain, probably the worst also. The catalyst to cause this. I mean, Zelensky wanted peace, right around April 2021. He was going to sit down with Putin. We sent an envoy. Boris Johnson went and talked with Zelensky, and Britain and the UK, because they represent Ireland and Scotland and, the United Kingdom. And the United States talked them out of it. So basically the promise was, don't worry about it. Putin won't last a year. He doesn't have the stomach for it. He'll see that we're not going to give it to him, and he'll back off. We'll have your back financially. We'll give you everything you need. Well, we're still there, and hundreds of thousands of Russians have been killed. Hundreds of thousands of Ukrainian men and women have been killed, not to mention cities leveled, children killed. And a lot of it had to do with greed or pride, whatever you want to call it. Peace was always the best thing to do. So another thing that happened was we just saw leaked from Poland with a he says that literally 50% of the money that we sent to Ukraine has been pillaged with corruption, and a lot of that money has made its way back to Democrats. He didn't elaborate how. I'm still waiting for more verification on that story, because a lot of stories come out. Because you hear somebody leak something doesn't mean it's true, unless it's in the New York Times and Washington Post, and by some miracle the rest of the media treats it like truth when it isn't. And so I'm waiting to see what we hear about that. As you can see, everything in the forest is dead, and it's going to get snow on it tonight. Welcome to Maine. So, I've seen some things online yesterday that I thought were hilarious. Trump said that he was going to impose a 25% tariff on Canada and a 25% tariff on Mexico if they don't seal up the border and stop the drugs from coming in, and immigrants and whatever else. At least make an honest effort. Trudeau pretty much caved immediately, and the new female president of Mexico, who's a socialist, she's not caving in, and she's going to learn the hard way. She said she's going to impose a tariff on the United States, and she said that it will go on until the United States finally gives up. Well, she's bluffing. She's playing poker, and she's not going to win that, just because financially Mexico cannot win that war. Mexico is not financially strong, enough to do that. World trade is still based on the US dollar, despite almost losing that, especially with oil. So good luck with that. China right now, a big economic might like China, is having their troubles also. They're not in a good position to bargain with Donald Trump either. So the United States is the United States. And since we've outsourced so much stuff from other countries, I want to be clear, okay? This is important. I'm going to switch the camera around. All right, if you put it on the media, Fox News has been a little more fair. But if you put it on the CNN, MSNBC, NBC, CBS, ABC, NPR, PBS, you know, list goes on forever. The narrative is if Trump raises tariffs, prices of everything is going to go up. That's false. That's freaking false, okay? This is going to be done in tandem with common sense policies. You're not going to put a tariff on all appliances imported. You will, however, say that the people importing this specific product, you're going to have a 25% tariff on your products. And one, that's going to force anybody having this stuff made overseas to actually bring it to the United States to have it assembled. And that gives Americans jobs. And not only that, the price of that product will go up maybe 1%, maybe 2% if it's made here. It's not a big deal. The reason why I say that, it would be a big deal now because of inflation, but this is a multi-pronged attack. Trump is going to dramatically increase the amount of energy production and steps to deregulate businesses, okay? Let me say that again. Deregulate. And also keep the tax cuts that the billionaires are getting. And the Democrats love using that. He's giving tax breaks to the wealthy. Yeah, well, billionaires decide whether we're going to build a factory in Michigan or if we're going to build one in the Philippines because it's cheaper. You go overtaxing billionaires, they're going to leave the country. They did already. General Electric did that during NAFTA with Bill Clinton. A lot of companies just went overseas, which led to the problems we have now, you know? And you have to look at this with a smart point of view. So when you see somebody on the media leading off with a story saying, fear-mongering, literally, by saying the price of everything's going to go up and people already are strapped. This idea by Trump is stupid. Well, that's not what economic experts say, because it's not true. When you increase energy output and you deregulate, deregulation saves a lot of time and money for businesses. Cut taxes. Production's going to go into overdrive. Inflation's going to come down within a year. And because this was caused by inflationary spending by the White House and Congress, and that's going to have to be dealt with. Now we have a Republican Congress and a Republican Senate, and I just have a feeling because Trump's president, Democrats are going to buck on everything, even if it's good, because they feel that helps them in the next election. I think people are getting wise to that, and that's part of the reason why Trump just got Congress and the Senate, because the public is tired of that and they see it. They're not watching the media. They're getting their news in other places where they're actually getting accurate information. So, with that, we're going to have lower prices, and tariffs were one of the mainstays that this country used before the Great Depression. And it's a very effective tool. It's imposing a tax on another country to do business in your country. So if you're making cheap steel in China and you have an American company that makes steel, and the cheap steel is outselling and hurting your American company, well, you increase the tax, you make it more expensive for that other country to import, and you balance out the price. That's the point of it. It's common sense. The media just likes to use fear-mongering for everything. You know, like that worked for the election, right? It didn't. People don't buy it. So that leads to me to my next mention about Trump. New polling just came out, and confidence in Trump and new polling, and Trump's polling is an all-time high. People right now are high on Trump. Now he has to deliver. So people are trusting Trump. And again, you're always going to have that faction that doesn't. Even when a president has had record approval ratings, he still didn't have 25% of the country. So you're just never going to have that. That comes with the package. So anyway, you can see we've had some stormy weather. We've got a few downed branches along the route here off these pine trees. I got a feeling we might get some more. Hopefully it won't be too windy. The weather forecast for wind didn't look horrible. We'll see. Usually when they mention a storm, we usually get some kind of wind. It's a storm, for crying out loud. Right? So we'll see what we see with the politics. Trump will be fine. There's been a markedly different tone from the media. They don't have their usual stuff to throw at him all the time, like false election claims. They don't have that he won with the Electoral College. The best they can do is try to say that his win wasn't a landslide, that was a landslide. So they've been trying to do that too. Looks like the final count's going to be about 2.7 million he won by, which is just about what Hillary won by when she lost. So, but Trump won in the states you're supposed to win. Hillary lost in the states that had a bigger conservative base, like Pennsylvania, Michigan, Wisconsin. So, and I'm sure somebody was cheating, even though they lost. You know damn well somebody did. And I hope they get caught, and I hope they're prosecuted. But right now, quote, there's no evidence of it. Even though they finally wrapped up counting ballots in California 20-something days later. 20 days, 21. Absolutely outrageous. So that's what we got, folks. We will see how this all unfolds. We got to get to the inauguration without Trump being killed. That's still, you know, that's still a concern with me. I think people have put it on the back burner. But, you know, now we got, you know, people getting swatted and bomb threats, and somebody out there who just saw the news articles this week about Jack Smith dropping those cases, which those are gone forever, by the way. That would be the January 6th insurrection thing and the documents case, because Trump won the election. The New York case, a motion to dismiss has been granted. It's either going to be dismissed or not. We'll see what happens. Most experts agree that Trump's never going to jail for any of that stuff, and that's going to go away. So all of the legal stuff is gone, which leads me to my next segment. It's exactly what that seer said. Now, first I want to put the disclaimer that I am not into believing seers who can see in the future and predictors and people like that, okay? There has to be special cause for me to believe somebody like that. Now, there was this one guy who claims that he talks with Jesus. God shows him things, and his mission in life is to spread the gospel and the word of God, which is fine. That's beautiful. I'm not going to judge the guy. And from everything that he has predicted, that's probably exactly what's happening. I believe this guy's chosen as a vessel of information for us to either listen to or not. And yeah, I'm going to flip the camera around. Look, I know that sounds like you want to go like one of these religious nuts. No, I'm not a religious nut, okay? But I am a believer in God. I do pray. I also believe it's up to people to determine for themselves. And, you know, you should have God and Jesus in your heart, or you don't. And if you don't, you should ask yourself why. But that's between you and the Lord. You know, that's... Anyway, this guy is the guy that predicted Trump was going to get shot in the ear. This was in March, okay? March. Trump was shot in July. So months before Trump was shot, he said he was going to be doing a rally. He was going to be shot, and he said the bullet was just going to miss his head, and it was going to... What he said in his video was the bullet was going to bust Trump's eardrum, because it's so close to his head, causes Trump an injury. Now, he didn't know it was going to nick him and cause him to bleed. This guy really doesn't know anything about firearms, so he probably just assumed that bullets explode, because all of the propaganda you see online is bullets hitting gel, ballistics gel, and you see this big exploding pocket in it. And 60 Minutes did a big feature on AR-15s, and they made it sound like bullets explode on contact. Well, all bullets do the same thing when they hit water, flesh, whatever. They make a wound channel. It hits, and the concussive energy expands what it hits, and that's what causes a lot of the damage that kills people. It could be your basic 9mm handgun, 38 special, doesn't matter what it is. But 60 Minutes made it sound like it was a big exploding bullet, a war machine, AR-15 military rifles. It's all bogus nonsense. Anyway, this guy said that he was going to be given a speech, and it was going to come right next to his right ear. He even picked the correct side. And he said when that happens, he was going to go down on the stage, and at that moment he was going to be the closest to God he's ever been, and he was going to be renewed after that through the power of the Lord, this guy said. And he was going to go on to win the election, he said. He said all of his legal troubles were going to go away after that. So that's kind of what happened. And if he had just said one thing and gotten lucky, well, he strung everything together in a 15 to 20 minute video. So I'm convinced. Kind of hard to deny it. This was in March when he said that, and at the time it did not look like the legal stuff was going to go away. And well, take that for what you want, okay? But anyway, this same guy has another prediction that I don't like. So I might as well talk about it because he was right about the other one. This guy was saying that in the middle of Trump's presidency, there's going to be a huge global economic crisis. The worst that the world has ever seen. It's going to lead to starvation and bloodshed. People are going to riot, and it's going to be global. And he said that would happen halfway through his presidency, and President Trump's going to come up with a solution for our country. The dollar is going to collapse, and basically what's going to happen by the time Trump's out of office is we are going to set up our own digital currency, which is why I believe Elon Musk is in the mix with his expertise on digital currency. And I know this sounds crazy. It's fine, you're free to turn it off. I'm really not a crazy person. I'm not drinking Kool-Aid. So this seer says that we're going to have a new digital currency, and it's just going to be for North America, through Central America, and everybody's kind of like what they did in Europe with the euro. So we're going to have our own currency. He also said because of that, we're not going to have the same power we had with the dollar. We're going to be weaker, but we'll be more better off than other countries. So if you look at the world debt clock for all of the countries, every single quote-unquote civilized country is heavily in debt and drowning. France, Germany, Britain, Ireland, Scotland, Norway, Sweden, all of them. United States, Mexico, Canada, China. China is about ready to implode. They're having serious economic troubles. So this is all very bad. One of the biggest offenders is Japan. They are hugely in debt. And trillions of dollars. I mean, it's crazy. So obviously, the United States is not going to be able to come out of debt overnight. So if a collapse happens, it's going to happen. There's really nothing anybody's going to be able to do to stop it. So this is also, according to the seer, things are going to be really rough for a couple of years, but they'll get better, he said, because of Trump and because of people he has around him, people in place, and just the simple fact the United States dollar will be imploding, but other countries will be much far worse off. So these are all problems we're going to have to deal with if they happen. If they happen. But this guy has been right about more things than he's been wrong. Now that leads me to another video I saw, okay? This was just some guy. He was a commander. He was in war. A decision he made led to the deaths of many women and children. He made a mistake. And at the time, he was unapologetic about it. He was like, basically, well, you know, what do you want me to do? We're in war, mistakes happen, I'm sorry, but, you know, who do we kill next? He had that attitude. So, why I'm bringing this up is this guy 20 years after being out of the service. He lost all hope. Things weren't going well. He was bothered by what he did. And he wasn't having a good time of it. And the guy took a gun. He says he shot himself in the head. And he said he woke up in hell. He said there was different tiers and levels there. And he was brought by these shadows, which he said were kind of like demons, but he said there were people he recognized there that were celebrities and just normal people too. And they were all slaves to these people. So he said he was about to be sent to hell, and he cried out for Jesus, the Lord. And he said when he did that, the Lord appeared. And I guess he had some kind of discussion with him, according to what he said. And this was a letter. Now, how do you shoot yourself in the head and write a letter? Well, he survived his gunshot wound. So I'll get to that in a minute. So anyway, Jesus says, I'm going to send you back. I'll give you another chance. But you have to do good. You need to tell people this message I'm going to give you, this warning. He said, this is what the guy said, in 2026, World War III is going to start and there's going to be massive economic collapse. So this guy said the same thing that the seer said. The seer I'm talking about says World War III already started just after 2020. The ball was in motion. And you've heard me say that on my walks. I believe that too. And this stuff's interesting to think about. I'm not asking you to drink Kool-Aid. I just have personal beliefs. I believe in God, I believe in the Lord, and I believe some of these people who are quote-unquote seers actually saw something. Can't explain it. Maybe you don't have to. But when you have different seers basically saying the same thing at about the same date, 2 years into President Trump's presidency, and then after winning, and then somebody else says 2026, greed really kicks in and wars get worse, more people die, and World War III really kicks off. And I've even seen a couple of other ones where they talk about a nuclear detonation by the end of 2024. Hope that don't happen. But not all of these people have been factual. And that's why I say take it with a grain of salt. Maybe just ponder it, think about it. It's pretty uncanny when somebody predicts Trump almost getting shot in the head, describes everything that happened that day in his vision he had, which he claims was given to him by God, and that Trump had to survive and he had to save the country because the United States is going to be the last bastion of common sense. And it's, well, it is what it is, right? So anyway, I'm gonna flip this around. And again, I better not sound like a kook. I'm not a kook. I just like to think about things, and when I see stuff like that, it catches my attention. It's not even something I go look for. Now, I've also talked about something about myself in the past. I really don't share it much because, quite honestly, it freaked me out. But I remember in 1998, it's right about the time we had an ice storm. Power was out for days. Terrible week for me. I lost my job that week. A branch smashed a window on our car. I lost my apartment that week, and also lost my girlfriend I had been living with. All of that happened in the same week. So that was not my best time in life, and I'm sure people have similar stories. You feel lost. And on top of that, a couple of years before that, in 1996, if I can fix my stick, sorry about that. A couple of years before that, in 1996, my mother died. So it was a pretty good stretch of bad things happening. And but you know, you survive it and you overcome. So anyway, I'm lying there sleeping one night. Okay, I'm sleeping in this house. I'm by myself. I'm alone. She left, and the job was gone, car was gone, and it's just me and my stuff. What am I gonna do now? So went to sleep, and I had a vision while I was sleeping. Now, a lot of people, when you tell them that, they're gonna say, oh, come on, this guy had a dream and thinks he had a premonition. It wasn't a dream. It was completely different. I can't describe it to you. The best I can tell you is it was my mother who had died, who was communicating something to me. I still haven't figured out what it was, but I was shown, and this is going to sound completely stupid and ridiculous, I understand it, but it's what happened. It really affected me for weeks after I saw this, because I knew it was a vision. I knew it was not a dream, it was a vision. The feeling I had inside and the love I felt from my mother, that doesn't come from a dream, okay? I can't describe that to you. Something went into me while I was sleeping, and I was shown something. Now, what was I shown? Well, this is going to make you laugh, because this sounds completely stupid and ridiculous, but that's what it was. I was shown a wood kitchen cabinet. And in that cabinet was a cup. The cup, don't laugh, okay? The cup had a middle-aged Obi-Wan Kenobi on it. A younger Obi-Wan. All right, this was 1998. None of the prequels had been made yet. I hadn't even heard about Star Wars making any prequels. So this was a Obi-Wan Kenobi that looked like about 35. Maybe younger. And so I was shown this cup in detail, and in this cupboard that I had never seen before. Never saw that cupboard, never saw that cup before. It didn't exist. Well, okay. He was turned to the side with his robe, and he had a blue lightsaber in a pose. So there was no Star Wars logo on the cup, but I recognized it right away. I was a huge Star Wars fan. So again, you could say, well, you know, you just had a dream. Trust me, it wasn't a dream. I've never had anything like that since, and that was in the 90s. I've had plenty of dreams. Nothing like that ever happened. So, okay, fast forward. The Star Wars prequel comes out. Still didn't make any sense of that. Nothing from that movie had anything to do with what I saw. Then they made the second prequel. Still nothing. Obi-Wan's really young, and you know, you got this young Anakin, teenage punk. It's a love story. Nothing clicked with that either. It wasn't until 2005. Okay, 7 years later, I'm walking into the movie theater to go see Star Wars Episode 3. There's a trash can there, and there's a doorway to go into the movie theater. Guess what's sitting on the floor right in front of me? That freaking cup. The same design, same size, the same pose, same lightsaber. Obi-Wan Kenobi on it looked exactly the same as what I saw in 1998. Can't explain it, but that's what happened. That's real, okay? That really happened. So the other story with that is I know my mother was trying to tell me something, and it had to do with me finding that cup. And I ran into somebody online at a Star Wars forum, and I ended up meeting somebody online that was very special to me for a long time, until recently. I still haven't been able to figure out what's up with that either. I'm not going to get into it in here on detail. But obviously, my mother was trying to tell me that that was important. It didn't feel like a warning. Not sure what it was. So, and that's where I am now. Now, why is the cup important? Because I came home from that movie. Where am I going to put this cup? And then above our stove is a wood cabinet. I opened the door and put the cup in it, and it's exactly what I saw in my vision. Same cupboard. It just had never occurred to me until I had the cup in it. And I was absolutely floored. So that's my interesting paranormal story. It's the only one I have. I don't have any other stories that are really out there like that. But, you know, because I experienced something like that myself, I tend to listen to these people who claim to have visions, and then I kind of like, well, this guy's just a kook. That doesn't even make sense. And there's a lot of those out there. But when you get ones that see something and it actually comes to fruition, that's a different thing altogether. And I have some experience with that. And maybe you do too. If you do, I'd love to hear your story. I don't care how long it is. You can even make a video, and you could send it to me. King, K-I-N-G, _ Crankor, K-R-A-N-K-O-R, King _ Crankor at yahoo.com. So just make sure you put something in the subject field to catch my attention. So, or you can just type everything out below and I'll read it. I really don't mind that either. But what I was saying is if you're going to make your own YouTube video, every time I try to leave a video reply to somebody, the post ends up being deleted by the algorithm. It thinks it's spam. So I don't know how to get around that. But anyway, I'd love to hear your story if you have one. It'd probably be quite surprising with a lot of people. So anyway, long story short, I still have that cup in the cupboard, and I stop and look at it once in a while, wondering what that's all about. What was that? Why did I see that? Is that vision done with me yet? Did I miss my opportunity? Is something gone by? I don't know. But maybe that chapter's not closed. So anyway, just thought I'd share that with you. It's just uncanny to me how that cup is in the cupboard exactly like I saw it in 1998. Same position off to the side, same rotation. I put it in there just like that, without even thinking about it. I was like, wow, that is really bizarre. So anyway, that's my story on that. Hope you enjoyed it. Click like and subscribe. Share the content. And more importantly, share your story like that if you have one. It's one of those things that's really intriguing. There's something to it. I really don't know what it is. I know my younger brother told me a story about his wife at the time. She woke up. She had some kind of, she says she had some kind of vision. She said there's going to be a fire, a really big one. And my brother was like, come on. I said, no, man, it's a really serious. This is the people are going to get hurt. And sure enough, it happened. Not long after she had that vision. I can't explain it when things like that happen, but it's self-evident to me, because I've experienced it myself, that some people experience that. I don't know what. I wish it would have happened to me more than just once back in the 90s. Don't know what causes that. But anyway, thank you for walking with me. Click like and subscribe. Share the content, and have a beautiful holiday tomorrow, Thanksgiving. Hopefully you're doing well with family and all that. And God bless you and your family. So say a prayer for Trump and America and world peace. We need to find some solutions here pretty quick. I think a lot of that warning that seer had, and that he had to get the word out, was to try to get people to change course. So it's not set in stone. So that's the assumption I had from it. It's not what this guy said. According to what he said, Jesus told them this was going to happen. People are running out of time. So take it for what you will. See you on the next walk, everybody. Thank you very much, and God bless you. Bye-bye. Talk to you soon.